Hello, welcome to CarCast. I'm Matt, the moderator. Deandrea Goldberg is out getting ready for that final WWE match. He's probably going to be out for the next 2 weeks. Training this week, training next week, getting ready, press tours, all the good stuff. But my good friend Brad Fanshaw from Bond Speed Wheels, my co-host on Shift and Steer, is here. How are you, Brad?
I'm doing good. That was my Goldberg entrance, so it wasn't as good.
He
I
doesn't
know.
really do that on the podcast. That's the Goldberg, the character. On the podcast, he's always kind of a little tired, maybe a little high, maybe just a little
Just like, okay, hey.
unless he starts getting excited about, like last week he was getting excited about SRT. He was getting pumped and he was like, I'm starting a campaign, bring SRT back. It's the hashtag bring SRT back. And he's publishing videos and he's like, we need a call to action. They should have never gotten rid of it. And the big announcement this week is they brought SRT back. I know
Look
in
at the
his head,
influence he has.
yeah,
Look
I
at
know in
that.
his head he's like, we did it. But the reality is there's no way that
Yeah,
hadn't been
corporations don't move like
weeks
that.
and weeks, if not months, in preparation because they rolled out like videos today of how it's back and stuff. So yes,
So you don't visualize that the CEO of Stellantis was sitting there at home last night or one night, scrolling through his social media and saw Goldberg and went, "What were we thinking?"
yeah, who is this Goldberg guy? What a great idea. Let's bring SRT back. But uh, look, he was right. The fans needed to speak up and they did, but I think they knew that going into it. So actually, before we get more into that, because there's more to talk about for sure.
Yes.
Um, Want to tell you about Bet Online, of course. They continue to be your number one source for all your sports betting action. And with baseball in full swing and football season around the corner, Bet Online has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news and scores, even live in-game betting. From MLB to UFC and tennis to NFL futures, Bet Online remains your choice for sports wagering info. In between games, head on over to the Bet Online Casino for all your top Vegas style games, including poker and their live casino. And you can head to the website to take advantage of their industry leading VIP program with level up bonuses and weekly cash boosts. Bet Online, the game starts here. So the news around SRT, well, all of Stellantis, right? We've been talking about it probably here on CarCast more than Shift and Steer, but pulling the Hemi out of the lineup, taking it out of the Ram trucks, taking it out of the cars, going to EV, it just seemed one
What were they
bad
thinking?
move after another. And so they brought Tim Kuniskis back, and they made Tim Kuniskis the head of Ram. And then he announced, we're putting the Hemi V8s back into the Ram trucks, and we're going to go racing in the Craftsman Truck Series. So he's going, we got to go, we got to make up for the mistakes we made. We need to put the engine back. We need to go racing. After that was announced, Ram sold, I'm sorry, they got orders for 10,000 Hemi V8 equipped
Isn't
pickups in 24 hours. In
that
24
amazing?
hours, 10,000 orders for that truck, right? Like, talk about the writing on the wall.
No kidding. Kind of tells you where your customer's head was at.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with the Hurricane engine. The Turbo 6 is 500 horsepower, 540 horsepower. It's just not what people wanted. They just wanted the V8. You're talking about a brand that was built around the Hemi V8. All the commercials, 10 Fast and Furious movies basically at this point, all surrounding the Dodge brand, turning it into the muscle car brand, and Ram as well. So, yeah. So what they did was they've also come back to Tim Kuniskis, appointed him a new title, and let me see if I can find this. I want to make sure I got this right.
CEO, isn't it?
No, so there is a CEO of Stellantis and the individual brands. Uh, they brought him back as
Oh,
the
new
head of
Stellantis
Ram.
CEO taps Kniskus. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, so Kaniskis is he's the head of Ram. So I don't know if he's CEO of Ram or just they call him the head of Ram. And then he's got a new title. He's the head of American brands and North America marketing and retail strategy for Stellantis. It's a lot of ands. That's his
Yes.
title in there. And among that is the SRT division, which also encompasses their motorsports division. So when he
His
was in charge,
business card is going to have to fold out so that he can get
right, it's
everything on
gonna
there.
it's gonna be like a centerfold,
Yeah.
you know. So it's interesting, Stellantis's move on this, right? So they were changing directions when he was there. He tried to pitch the EV Charger as the next muscle car. I don't know that he really believed it. I don't know a lot of the team over there really believed it. And ultimately, he just announced his retirement and he's like, I'm out. Now that they're making moves to bring him back, what kind of money you think they're throwing at that guy?
Oh yeah. Yeah,
To
that's
go,
that's that's good money.
right? To go, listen, you're going to be the head of Ram. You're going to be the head of SRT. This new title in charge of retail, everything, marketing, like you're going to oversee all of it. Like you're effectively the CEO. And then, guys like Mark Trossel, who's the head of design over there that ran
Mhm.
SRT, Ralph Gilles, they're all over social media going, thank God this is back. We want to bring this back. So interesting. It seems exciting. I don't know. What do you think? You got thoughts on it? They needed to
Yeah,
do it.
well, they needed to do it. That's the main thought. And it was so obvious to everyone except for the people that made the decision in the first place, which weren't any of the names we're bringing up. It was other people, and they thought, oh, we've got to do this. And I mean, let's just say they could have never had an ad that said it's a it's a V6. I mean, it just doesn't have the ring of it's a Hemi. And they had a whole marketing campaign around that. And now that they've have all of this back, as you just said, sales are going. They're those were sales they would have lost otherwise. They would have gone to other brands, I think.
Yeah. Yeah. And the announcement with the Rams selling all of those trucks. Well, I mean, getting orders for all of those trucks. It just it just goes to show you that that's what all the fans of that brand wanted. They wanted to bring the V8 back. They got to do their crate engines. They got to expand SRT. And SRT, like before, I imagine is going to go across all of the brands, across the lineup. So you could have a SRT Jeep, a Grand Cherokee again, or something like that. Maybe in the Dodge realm, of course, probably a Ram. I'd love to see a Ram truck, an SRT Ram
Yeah,
truck, because I don't know if the TRX was technically an SRT product, but uh,
that's a good question. That's yeah. I wonder if
yeah, I
it
don't
fell
remember
under
it
that
being an
purview.
SRT. So anyway,
It was kind of like New Coke. It was like all of a sudden they did it, and then all of a sudden they realized, oh man, that was a mistake. Let's go back. Let's go back.
yeah, or Crystal Pepsi.
Crystal Pepsi.
Do you
Yeah,
remember that?
I do.
You know what I remember more was the SNL skits with the Crystal Pepsi, and they were making fun of it, and they were pouring out. It looked like this clear glue. They must have been using like some sort of epoxy or something.
Right.
Like Crystal Pepsi was just like this clear, bubbly slime coming out of something. I think I remember that
The
clip.
mistakes that big marketers make.
Yeah. All right. So SRT's back, all thanks to Goldberg and his campaign.
It's all because of him. A couple of hashtags is all it took.
That's all it took was one video post, and it's all coming back. Um, the as we head into Monterey Car Week, we've got the car auctions up there. There's going to be debuts of cars. And a while ago, we spoke about Bernie Ecclestone's collection, his F1 collection going up for a sale. And they wanted to sell it as one whole thing. Finite people in the whole world would could afford it, and even fewer that are even like such car racing fans
Right.
they were to go to. And then does it make sense for a corporation to buy it and like build a museum out of it? Um, it, it would have to be just a monster company. Like the Peterson Museum couldn't buy it, right?
No,
Even
no, that
as the whole collection sold. It sold for $700 million. We talked about it on Shift and Steer. It went to I forgot the guy's name, but it basically the heir of Red Bull, a young guy,
right.
30 something year old billionaire, and he was just like, we need to have this. They're so ingrained into motorsports and F1. $700 million for that collection.
And for him, it was just quite literally like his little what I'm trying to remember what it was. Every year he gets a certain amount of money. It was like just his annual take on this one thing that he gets.
Yeah, yeah. You're saying like from like a trust fund?
It's not a trust fund. It's something from like the estate or something like that. But
Yeah.
it's not. But it's like a payout of some sorts, and it was like his payout was like almost equal to that, that year, on top
Yeah.
of all the other money he has. It's cubic dollars.
So it's interesting is that didn't go to auction. That went to a broker, a guy named Tom Hartley. I guess Tom Hartley Jr. By the way, the Red Bull guy, he was 32 years old.
He's got to
And
make that money last a while.
the biggest, the biggest purchase of a car collection ever by like multitudes. Just like it was just uh, massive. Uh, so this same broker, this guy Tom Hartley, has commissioned another collection. I don't know if you saw this yet, but it's from a guy who passed away. He was a shareholder and one of the guys behind McLaren, bringing McLaren back. And I'll bring it up here so we can see
And
the.
he liked that sunset orange color.
Yeah, so but that color isn't the McLaren orange. This is a unique color designed for him. So what
Oh,
happened?
really?
So
Okay.
he came on as a big investor and helped grow the company, um, the street portion of the company in back in the 1980s, and he he had a company called TAG, which is weird because it's not Tag Heuer, the watch company. You would think it is because of the affiliation and racing and everything, but it's not that.
Yeah.
I think Tag is an
Techniques
aerospace company.
avant-garde.
They're a aerospace company. I think they're the broker for Europe for like Bombardier. They're like
Hmm.
all the private jets, everything that's sold there for Bombardier. He's the like broker, the importer, or whatever he is for like all of Europe. That's where it came in. So uh, one of the first cars this guy purchased as a shareholder was a McLaren F1. So if you're going to start right,
Yeah. Start at the
right?
top.
And he ordered it this special kind of metallic orange color, and it was bespoke to him. And then over the years, he acquired 20. He basically purchased every model of McLaren street car. And the way he did it was instead of going, oh, I want VIN number one, because there are collectors and stuff that want that, he said, no, I want the last one. So he wants the most refined version of every McLaren. Actually, that McLaren F1 he has that you see in the center here picture,
Yeah.
that is the last McLaren F1.
Wow.
So he got it. And then eventually they named this color after him. And you could see in there, he's got an Elva, he's got a P1, he's got a Speedtail. So I believe there's 20 cars in the collection. And it's all going up for sale, but it's not going to auction. And this broker is going after it. Now, a McLaren F1 is $20 million easy. But now, if you have a McLaren F1 from this collection and it's the unique color that nobody has,
And the last one off
and
the
the
lot.
last one, I mean, they're not selling that car by itself. They want to sell the whole collection like they did before, but I think the line item for that car is going to be 27 million, 28 million.
Yeah, that's an expensive collection right there, and it's probably going to end up, my guess, Middle East somewhere, or or China.
Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe the Red Bull guy wants it. Maybe he bought a bunch of race cars and he's like, you know what I need is a bunch of street cars.
We need to put a McLaren wing on the new museum that we're going to build.
The
So,
the thing that's interesting is all of these cars they were bought new at the end of the production line, so they were never really driven. And the cars with the most miles on it are the McLaren F1, which he ended up putting like 1,100 miles on it. See if I can find it. Yeah, I
it
think
looks
it's
like
like
there's a
11.
couple in there that he left just in carbon fiber.
Well, so that's the track car, the track
Hmm.
P1, and I think that one was also driven during the track days. So,
Okay.
but I think the estimates are this whole collection will be about 70 million. So,
Okay.
1/10 of whatever whatever the Bernie Ecclestone. So I guess the Red Bull kid, maybe he needs to wait till next month's payroll check before he
There you go. Yeah.
before he can write another $70 million check since he just wrote a $700 million check.
Well, I don't think you can tell me that this broker didn't call him up and go, "Hey, I've got another collection." You know,
I mean, you'd think so. You'd think he probably did that before the press release even went out.
Red Bull gives you things.
I guess it
It-
does.
it's
Gives him 700 million thing.
yeah, lots
Um,
of four-wheeled things.
I think I think the collection's going to sell. I actually think they're probably going to get more than one bid on it. I know they're not bidding it out, but I think they're going to get offers from two or three people, and I think it's going to sell. I think it's a unique enough collection. Um, and honestly, I think McLaren would have probably wanted to buy the collection if they could afford it, but
Right, right.
they just struggled financially. Uh, I think they had
They had to sell their building, didn't they?
they sold, yeah, the whole manufacturing facility
Mhm.
and the museum and the cars, and then they like lease it back or
Leased it
something.
back. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about the cars, but I don't know what they did with that, but they had to lease the whole thing back. So anyway, another amazing collection. A little interesting that it didn't go to auction. I wonder what the guy's commission is. It can't be 10%.
I I wondered the same thing on the last sale, and I thought the same thing. I thought 10%. It's got to be, you know, hey, if you take it to, although the selling point might be, I'm going to sell it all at once for you. You don't have to piece it off. You don't have to wait for no sales at auction or one car doesn't go for enough. I'm going to sell them all. So I want that 10% because I'm going to work hard for it. And so maybe he's going to buy the collection here because he made enough money off the last one. So no,
It's funny you think about that. If he got 10%, he could buy this whole
he could
collection.
buy this collection.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that would
But
be a
he's obviously
terrible
not. He's obviously
financial
going,
move.
no, I'm going to sell it. I'm going to sell it. It's
Yeah. Uh, you know, I don't know how that fee would work on that. I mean, you know, he got the money for it. I mean, I don't know what they really wanted for it, but they obviously were happy with 700 million.
I mean,
I don't know how that fee works.
it's interesting. It's a totally negotiable fee at
Yeah.
that point. I guess, one way to look at it would be looking at fees on super high-end properties, like properties that sell for like $100 million or something like that. What are their similar fees? And you might be able to draw
I
some
mean,
extrapolate something there.
that's still tough. There's not a lot of like private transactions. Maybe between corporations, you're buying companies, you're buying a huge building, but uh
Well, nowadays, look at Mark Wahlberg's house. It sold. What'd she buy it for?
Paris Hilton bought it.
67 million.
Yeah, which is crazy because I think he had it listed for like 85 or something
Yeah,
crazy. and then it got sold for like 38 to somebody, and then she went and bought it. So somebody got
Yeah,
it for sort
you
of a
made the
bargain
wrong
and
pie
made
there.
made 20 million on it or whatever. But he built that house, right? So
That place is
yeah,
ridiculous.
it's just a
It's
monster house. Like
ridiculous.
just what she has to pay in property taxes out here, and it's in like Beverly Hills or Bel Air, so there's a mansion, big mansion tax,
There's a mansion tax, there's the property tax. Then just the first thing I do when I look at it, I think maintenance. Just
maintenance
the maintenance.
just to keep the air conditioning on,
Yeah, exactly. Think what
watering the
her air
lawn.
conditioning bill is. I mean, I didn't know she made that kind of money. I mean, that's like some
Yeah.
really ridiculous money. It's
But yeah, so like a deal like this, so a Ferrari 250 just sold for 51 point something million. I think it was
right.
the I think that's the most expensive car at a public auction, right? I think that
Yeah, I
Mercedes
think
quite a bit
in the
more, but
word that there was a private sale for one around 70 or something like that.
I think it was that Mercedes, that custom body gull wing
Right.
roadster thing or whatever it was. But yeah, $51 million in change. I think it was like what all in. So whatever the hammer price was,
If you're making 10%, you don't have to sell a lot of cars. Yeah,
yeah,
you know,
yeah. And then that one, I don't know if they just did the auction around that one car, right? Like I
right.
think they might have just done the one auction. Um, but yeah, to go from 50 million to 70 million for the McLaren collection or 700 million for the F1 collection is
I don't know that we'll ever see another 700 million for quite some time. Any collection that's that kind of money. Now,
yeah.
as things rise, we might see something else, but right now it's going to be a while, I think.
And then I don't know, in 50 years from now, does that collection stay in the family? Because you don't sell it again as one collection, because who's going to pay 1.5 billion for it? You know,
Yeah.
I mean, I
But
guess somebody, but
you
otherwise you
have
piece it out and sell it off the cars.
maybe, but for someone like that, you almost have to look at it as yes, it's a collection. Yes, it's something that he prizes, but I'll guarantee you there was an army of accountants and attorneys that said, now we're going to put this together as a charitable trust or something like that, to where it becomes a tax write-off. It's a way to defer other
Well,
income.
yeah. So when he bought it, afterward, he talked about I think he's building a museum. He's building like a new building and a museum, and it's all going
That's
to be
where you get the write-off.
right.
Yes.
Yeah. And then he'll probably just turn that into a nonprofit, right? And just sell tickets.
Host a a couple charitable events there,
Yeah.
and yeah, that's how
Yeah.
those work.
Well, we'll probably be out there to do a live podcast. That was like high up on their,
He got a hold of us right away. Said,
yeah.
"Yeah, we,
Yeah.
we want you out here."
I
He
know you
wants us
told
to
them.
drive each one and really give our
Well,
evaluation.
only Brad Pitt drives F1 cars now.
Yeah, he gets to
Um,
drive them.
okay, let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Okay, so the other thing was FuelFest. I haven't had a chance to go to FuelFest until this past weekend. FuelFest is the big car show event. There's a concert going on. It was at Pomona, so there was some drag racing going on. They had drifting going out there. Um, a really cool event. Cody Walker is in charge, Paul Walker's brother. It's an event that he co-founded. They put this thing together. When I went there and I saw what they were doing, I realized this is what SEMA wants SEMA Fest to be,
Right.
right? And they're getting there. They're not quite there yet, but um, they put on a good event. Good display of cars. The drifting was fun, and they were doing ride-alongs for the drifting. They had some people out there drag racing. I saw a CRX run tens, a little Honda
Wow.
CRX run tens. Like it went up there, and you just hear it just wind up and just hit that rev limiter, bam, 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 and just launch like a little toy. Um, it was good. it was a good event. It
What
was
what was
Pomona.
the majority of the car show cars? Were they tuner cars or was it a
Yeah,
real
tuner cars.
selection? Yeah.
Yeah. And there was quite a few like Fast and Furious like replica cars. It looked like a
Okay.
couple movie cars there because I saw one with no engine in it. The Supra with no engine. Um yeah, and there were some replica versions of that. Yeah, a lot of tuner cars, some muscle cars. Um a lot of cars on bags.
Really?
Yeah, you're walking around, you're like, look at that GTR, and like it's on the ground. And I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
it's got
literally.
air, everything's on airbags. I mean, it's good. It's got the stance, lots of lights, lots of flashing lights. Uh,
They like the neon. They like the bright colors, and I mean, I love it. I mean, I love every type of car. That's the thing, you know. It's that's part of the issue with a real car guy is that car guy, car gal, you like everything. You don't.
yeah.
I've often wished, why didn't I just like Camaros, or why didn't I just like Ferraris, or it's like I like it all.
So Fuel Fest is so we had Cody Walker on a little while ago, and he was telling us all about it. Fuel Fest is an event that part of the proceeds go to Paul Walker's charity, and they are working on doing, I think, close to 10 events a year now, including Japan, and I think they want to do one in Germany. I don't know if they've got
Hmm.
that planned yet. Japan, they've done a couple of times. So Japan's actually coming up in August in Salt Lake City, Dallas, Phoenix. I think the Phoenix one is going to be at the Radford Racing School area.
Okay. Yeah,
Their events there.
makes sense.
Um, you can go to fuelfest.com to see everything that's going on there. You can get the tickets. You can see how it reach to the charity. It's called Reach Out Worldwide is the charity. They've been doing a great job raising a bunch of money for that. And then when they come out to LA, they have access to Hollywood and the talent out here. So getting somebody like Tyrese to come out, and Vin Diesel's been a big part of coming out to some of the events. So he came out at the end uh here at the LA one out in Pomona. And um first of all, he came out and he did a great job. Got fans riled up, had some announcements to make. Social media is losing their mind because he's gained a few pounds.
Okay.
And I don't know if it's for a role or what. Like it could be for anything. So I think people are being harsh on him, but the comments on the post are
Harsh.
hilarious. They're just hilarious. Uh, but he came out and he made a couple of announcements. He said he had just met with Universal Studios. They said they part two of Fast 10. He said they're bringing the franchise back to LA. That's a big thing. It's where they started. He said that they're going back to their roots, and the original like street racing components of it are going to be a big part of what's going on. And then he said uh, Paul Walker's character, Brian, will be back in the final version. So presumably what they did to finish the movie that he was in, the last one he was in, using some sort of CGI. Maybe they get Cody Walker to be the body double again, and then they do the CGI. Now, they gave him a really nice farewell. So I don't know that they need to bring him back, but I guess there's some element that they can bring him back. I don't know if
It's
he's going
called
to be on.
AI. So now they can just bring him
It's
back.
I know I get it's done in AI, but like for the story, because he had sort of this
You're right.
farewell
It doesn't
moment,
need to. Yeah.
do they bring him back in like a flashback aspect? So they're not screwing up his farewell moment, right? Which was the nice moment in the film. Um, do they bring him back in some flashback moment or something to, advance the story? Or is this one of those things where like we need to have you come? He can't be like a main character. It's going to look a little weird if he's just a CGI'd character the whole time. So it presumably it's flashbacks or some sort
Maybe
of
he'll roll out from underneath the car and go, "Guys, I fell asleep on the creeper." You know?
yeah, I've been here the last few movies or something toward the end, but they're all about family and they get the whole family,
Right.
like something along the lines of that. But anyway, should be interesting. He was pumped about it. The crowd digs it. We'll see how it goes, but it sounds like it's not like I don't even think they've written it all yet. Presumably they haven't written it yet. And then the schedule, because Vin's doing, I think he did like a Kojak movie. They're bringing that character back.
Maybe that's why he's heavier. He's
Maybe
Kojak.
that's why he's heavier.
Yeah.
Listen,
He's been eating a lot of those lollipops, those Tootsie
yeah.
Rolls, Tootsie
Uh,
Pops.
anyway, it sounds like April of 27 is
Okay.
so we've got some time. There's another like year and a half or so in there, or
Okay.
more.
They've got a lot to do, and if they're bringing it back to LA, I wonder how much of it they'll film here, because LA is working so hard to bring actual production back.
Yeah, so Vin Diesel spoke about this as well. He'd mentioned this on like Instagram or something, some of the story, something he was talking about. He wants to film a big portion of it or all of it here. Keep in mind that's going to mean sound stages and
Oh,
and
sure. So
and
much of it's
not
green
just on
screen.
the streets of LA. And a lot of the street stuff is that's got a CGI component to it as well. There's only so much you can do if you're gonna blow up a parking garage downtown LA. You don't really blow that up for real.
What?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, maybe you can. Some there's some things that need to be rebuilt. So,
Yeah,
you
maybe they
know,
just need to
they
get
bring
rid
the
of some.
production back to LA. That's a big part of their movement of rebuilding, Hollywood in a sense. Uh,
You know what the biggest problem with all this? If you're not here in LA, you may not have heard of this, but they're injecting a lot of money to try and in tax rebates and things like that to try and get production back here, not in Georgia, not in Texas, not in
Not in
Louisiana
Vancouver.
and Vancouver, yes. But the problem is that they want to put all this money and get all these people to come back right away and start filming. And I talked to a friend of mine who's a stuntman, and he goes, but the very first thing they run into is, oh, but you can't film there because of the Olympics. Oh, you can't film there because of the Olympics, because everything's going to be shut down because of the Olympics and the Super Bowl's coming and all these other events.
Yeah.
So that's one of the problems.
There's another weird thing happening, and I don't know all the specifics about it, but there are like these developers or real estate companies where they're still building massive sound stages around LA on
Hmm.
pieces of property that were acquired a long time ago with the contingency that they would build sound stages. And now they literally have to build them, even if they let them sit empty because of the tax incentives and stuff that they agreed to before going, you have to build. So there's a bunch of massive brand new sound stages being built and some are close to being done as part of a program that's been sitting there for probably 20 years.
We could have the biggest podcast studio ever, Matt,
Hey,
because
studio.
it's just sitting empty anyways.
Yeah. Uh, but you're right. There's just going to be brand new buildings sitting there, just like crickets, crickets.
Yeah, crickets. Well, it really is. There's nothing happening right now. A lot of people, a lot of set designers, and it's a perfect storm. It's AI and green screen and all that. They don't need as many set designers and builders anymore.
Yeah. I mean, but you can film an entire Marvel movie in a soundstage now. It's all green
Right.
screen, people jumping, fans on them. It's a bunch of like Captain America running around in his costume, and everything else is green, around it. There's got this Superman movie that's coming out, and it's just him in a costume flying on cables in a
And his
soundstage.
dog CGI, it's
Yeah,
all, it's,
yeah, crypto.
yeah.
Uh, Speaking of movies, I last week I got invited by our friends at Porsche Santa Clarita. They're part of the Galpin family. They were hosting a cocktail party and a movie screening. I went out there. We had Bravago, we had the hard seltzer. there as part of their cocktail hour. We were just one of the sponsors for that, so had a good time doing that. And then they took us all over to the theater to see the new F1 movie. And anybody who's been following anything on social media, you're hearing all about how they filmed the movie. First of all, the director uh, is the same director who did Maverick, right? And Maverick was all about how do we get cameras in an airplane? How do we fly it for real? And he talks about meeting with the Navy, and the Navy's like, I don't think you can fit one camera in here. And he's like, hold my beer. And he came back and worked with like Panavision and other companies. They got six cameras in 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 I don't know in the planes that they were flying in the
Yeah, an F-16 or whatever.
yeah
Yeah.
yeah. So when he's mostly talking to Lewis Hamilton. So the story was Joe Kosinski, the director, and Jerry Bruckheimer, the producer, first sat down with Lewis Hamilton and said, "Do you want to be involved?" And he said, "Yes, but I really want to be." What happened was is the way they met him is somehow Lewis Hamilton had auditioned for a role to be an actor in Maverick.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and they're like, "Thank you, but no, thank you. You're not getting the role. You're not going to be in the movie." But they had a great conversation. And then later he said, I want to do a racing movie. Kaczynski was like, I want to do a racing movie. And got Jerry Bruckheimer and had a lunch with Lewis Hamilton. And they went through it, like a lot of the technicalities. Can we do what we did with Maverick with racing, with F1 racing? And they had these discussions about, you know, in an airplane, you could add, I think they said they added about 160 pounds of camera equipment, and it didn't phase it in the least bit, right? On an F1 car, it does. Even if you're not going full speed, it does change it and the aerodynamics of it. So they work again with Panavision, and I think with Apple, because it's an Apple movie,
Hmm.
they talked about how they're going to do it. There's even like cameras taken from the iPhones, the lenses and stuff, and put into smaller cameras that they developed to get cameras around. And then one of the things they wanted to do was not just have a camera mounted so you see, let's say, Brad Pitt driving, but it needed to move. So in the scenes where they are driving, whether it's Lewis Hamilton driving or like Brad Pitt driving, when Pitt's driving, the director is you know, outside the vehicle, in a room or whatever, somewhere on the
He's
track.
not holding on to the windshield. Okay.
And no, but he sees on the monitor what the camera sees, and then he can move the camera or his DP moves it in real time. So when you see a fast like turn, you see the camera look at the car next to him and then back onto the driver. That's
Yeah.
all done in real time with the car. That's not done with CGI and effects. So
That's an art in itself,
it
man.
is.
Being the editor who can, do those cuts that quick and be on it and get them.
So what they did to film this thing, right? Like have those guys show up, get access to F1, get access to the races. They're not in the cars during an F1 race, but they're there in the, during the practice or during the driver intros, like in Vegas. They did the driver intros. They were there. They were part of it. Right. So and the real drivers are there. The real teams are there. There was
Right.
full buy-in from all the teams from F1, all of it. So the film looks amazing. The story is any other Hollywood story, right? Older driver is kind of down on his luck. He's got to bring up the new driver. And, that's what Maverick was too, right? Like,
Exactly. Yeah.
but how do you put a spin on it to make it entertaining and fun? And I'll tell you, there's definitely some things in the movie as a F1 fan, and I'm not admittedly like a diehard F1 fan, but you're gonna go, you wouldn't do that. You would get fined for that. They pull your car apart, like you can't really do that. But it was good. If you liked Maverick, this is the car racing version of Maverick. Like, uh, Brad Pitt's character is funny and charming the whole movie. He's great. Like you just like his character. You just
Of
love,
course, of course
yeah,
it is.
yeah,
It's like he's
yeah.
Brad Pitt.
He is. And I mean, there's kind of life or death moments because they're racing cars, but not like you're going to war or you're getting shot down like in Maverick. It's not that kind
Right,
of
right.
like
That
run for your life. Like this is any extreme athlete going, we push the limits, injury, death, it's always out there. It's a factor. It's like there's a risk, but it's not like going to war where somebody's shooting it. So it's a different kind of film. So that's why his attitude the whole time was just like, yeah, let's have a good time. Let's race. So have you seen it? You haven't seen it yet.
I have not seen it yet. No.
Right. All right. Well, I think it's entertaining. I think it was great. I think it's worth seeing. Like Ford v Ferrari, there's some liberties taken in the story, but that's a very good, entertaining film. And the idea that motorsports films are fun and exciting to see just is good for the industry. It's good for the sport. It's good for the aftermarket. It's exciting. It doesn't have to be a Fast and Furious movie. Those are fun to watch for different reasons because they're crazy and they launched into space and they throw cars from building to building in Dubai. Like it's different.
That it does. They do flips in the air and all.
Like crazy stuff like that. This was great to see. And this sort of sparked uh, the comeback of another movie. Obviously, NASCAR is sort of the next big thing, but Tom Cruise has already come out and said, we are going to do a Days of Thunder
I heard
sequel,
that. Yeah.
right? But now there's a benchmark set, like what he did with Maverick and what they did, what that director did with F1, right? Now you need the same level. You need full buy-in from NASCAR. You need the teams. You need to get Tom Cruise, in the races, in the cars, in the pits. Like you need unprecedented development with cameras, like they did with F1. At least they can use some of that technology. Uh,
Yeah, exactly.
it, you know,
But yeah, you need to go into that film and feel like you just bumped fenders with somebody else. Yeah.
I mean, I thought at first it was like a little gimmicky with Lewis Hamilton as like a producer, and then now after the fact, you see how involved he was, and and I imagine other people as well, but just nailing like the sounds of everything, like you got to get the sound right, you got to get the sense of speed right, you got to get all that stuff right, and they did, they got it right, and I think Bruckheimer said there was some filmed scenes with Brad Pitt driving at like 180 something miles an hour, and then separately in the car, but not filmed, part of the training and practice, he did like 195 or something, just under 200 miles an hour in the car. So it, just understanding that sensation of speed and everything associated with it
I
is
should have been an actor, man, because those guys get to do all that cool stuff,
yeah.
flying
And
jets and
and I heard Pitt got like 35 million for the movie. So
yeah. Plus he's got back end of about 40, I heard.
yeah. Well, it's
Because he
interesting.
was a producer on it with Apple.
Well, right, but maybe some back end on the theater, but it's an Apple movie, so
Right.
they're trying to make money in the theater. But I believe it's going to end up on Apple TV probably around October, so they can get the full theatrical ride out of
Mhm.
it. Um, and then you know how it is the streaming stuff. There's really you get a big upfront fee because there's no like residuals on the streaming
Right.
after the fact. But I also heard, I don't know if this number is right, but they put together this team, Apex GP is the team, right? But they went out and pitched it to sponsors like a real F1 team. So when you see the credit card company or something, Expensify, which is a real company, and it's got
Mhm.
the Mercedes AMG logo, and it's got like I heard they sold $40 million of sponsorships in the movie before the
Good
movie
for
even
them.
got started because they had
Yeah.
like a $200 million production budget, right? So and then it's the rule is typically you almost double your production budget with marketing, worldwide marketing. So if you have to recoup $400 million,
Well, yeah, and but I mean, think about it. You're because those guys were walking around, the cars were out there in front of every F1 audience that they filmed at. They not only have the film at the end, but when all those other cars were parading around in Vegas or in
yeah.
Abu Dhabi or wherever they were, they got the exposure there just like a real team would, you
And
know?
the way they're marketing the film now after it's out is they've taken a page out of the Tom Cruise master playbook because the Mission Impossible movie that's coming out, did that come out yet? I don't think that's
Yeah,
out
it
yet,
just came out. Yeah.
right? It was all about like he's on an airplane and he's hanging off an airplane and at altitude he can't even breathe. Like it's about the stunts. It's about the crazy stuff you're going to see. They did it with Maverick. Like they're doing this. It's a big selling factor of going sort of the anti CGI route, right? Like he's holding his breath underwater and like he's like doing that, and that's everything about the F1 movie now is the interviews that they put together like on set, the producers, the director, and Brad Pitt and all this and Lewis Hamilton, and they're like how we filmed it and how we prepped for it and how we got real access and like that that's what it's about. They're not even talking about the story at this point. And it just turned out to be good. Like it's a good movie. They did a good job. So it's worth seeing. It's fun. It's a fun movie.
I'm all for something that's not CGI. I'm not a big fan of that. I'd rather see something that is, you know, more true to life and limited to what they can really do. So,
Yeah.
you
I
know,
mean,
like Tom Cruise jumping from one building to the other and breaking his ankle or whatever it was, you know.
yeah, that's more of a Jackie Chan thing. He very famously like did a big stunt, ran like jumped onto a boat and broke his foot, and they needed to film it, so they put a cast on his foot, and then he painted it to look like a shoe. And so you see him run and land, and you're like, why is one foot bigger than the other? Like
Exactly. What's going on? You know, it's like,
he did this stunt again with like a cast or a boot or something on there. So anyway, F1, good movie. You should see it.
I
That's
should see it.
my review of it. Like what's going on. So yeah.
Cool.
What's going on in your world? How's the wheel business? Bonds for
Gosh,
wheels. Buy some wheels.
Bond Speed wheels, buy some wheels, all made in America and forged billet aluminum, all built to order, bespoke wheels for cars, trucks, exotics, whatever you want. We can do them. And we're building them right here in Anaheim, California. That's what's going on. Doing podcasts and all that
Doing
kind of stuff.
podcasts. Yeah. All right. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap things up. Check out bondspeedwheels.com. Check out
Thank you.
shiftandsteer.com. That's our other podcast. If you guys haven't tuned into that before, it's only been around for 10 years, so it's probably pretty
We're
new
only on episode like 507.
as well. And then, Goldberg's going to be out for another week, but tune in July 12th, the main event, Goldberg, big retirement match. Unless somebody offers him a lot more money. I assume. I don't know.
Hey, it could be like Kiss, you know? We're going to retire. No, there's more money still on the table.
I
We're
think
gonna
he's
retire
ready. I
next
think
year.
he's ready to retire. He's,
Yeah.
what he's gone through to train, to prep for this. He's 58 years old. And I keep telling him, it's like, Mike Tyson fought, he was 58. And I was like, you got to put on a better show than that, though. So he wants to do it. He wants to do it right. But I think
Yeah.
this is it. I think he's done.
He was probably thinking, yeah, I wish I got the money Mike got. I
Yeah,
mean,
that would,
Mike got a whole lot of money.
yeah,
I mean,
Mike
that
got
was,
a lot of money for that. Yeah,
yeah,
he's not getting that kind of money, I'm
that
sure.
was
Um,
crazy.
And he'll be
But
back in the garage, Goldberg's garage, doing his thing.
good, good.
Uh,
He's a good guy.
all right. Are we good? Am I missing
Yeah,
anything?
I think we're good. And thanks for having me on with you today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Until next time, keep the air in the spare and the bag in the wheel.